right, hello everybody. Day 4 of videos. My name is Dr. Rachel Flobert and I am naturopathic doctor at Vibrant Living. And today the video is supposed to be about all these cool breathing techniques, the Wim Hof method, and some pranayama and yoga practice that you guys can integrate into your day. And I forgot something really fundamental, and that was how to breathe. And I know it sounds really trivial. You breathe every day, it happens naturally, you don't have to think about it, and I totally get that. But we don't necessarily have a ton of awareness in how we breathe throughout the day, especially when we've got a lot going on, we're doing a lot of things at once, we may feel a little bit more tension, we may feel stress. Whatever it is for you, we tend to lose that awareness. And what happens is we begin to chest breathe. And two things happen when we chest breathe. One is we use the accessory inspiratory muscles to breathe. That's these guys around your neck. So they get a little bit tight, and that's when we get a lot of neck tension and tightness. Some people will get headaches from it. So that will directly impact your health and how you feel. And two is the movement of your diaphragm. So it's called diaphragmatic excursion. When you inhale, your diaphragm goes down. When you exhale, your diaphragm pulls up. And when we shallow breathe or we chest breathe, the movement of our diaphragm is very minimal. It's not as large, which means we're not getting as deep of a breath. Our tidal volume, as they call it, is lower. How do we fix this? We can bring some awareness into it, and that's kind of what I wanted to show you today, is what are all the pieces of a natural way of breathing. We hear a lot about diaphragmatic breathing and belly breathing, and I just want to bring it back into how to naturally breathe that's healthy for you, so that in the future I can add on and we can hack it to give you extra health benefits. But we need to start with a really healthy base. So let's just start with diaphragm movement. So your diaphragm is connected all in and around your ribs. It sits facing this way. When you inhale, your diaphragm moves down. When you exhale, your diaphragm moves up. Same thing happens to your pelvic floor. When you inhale, pelvic floor pushes down. When you exhale, pelvic floor pulls up. This is a nice synchronicity that we want to maintain, that we often lose. And that's because we're either chest breathing or we're trying to suck our belly in. And I don't want you to be doing any of that. So on your inhale, your ribs down here are the most flexible. So what's going to happen is you're going to see most of the chest movement of a natural breath happen down here. So your ribs are going to be pushing out. Your belly is naturally going to fall out. You're not pushing it out. You're not forcing it out. You're naturally just relaxing your abdomen, and that push out will fill up your abdomen naturally, push out your ribs, and something that we often forget is it's going to push out in the back as well. So you want that entire rounded out movement when we're inhaling. When we exhale, everything falls back in. And then we want to also imagine what's happening with our pelvic floor. On that inhale, when everything's pushing down, there's a little bit more pressure and our pelvic floor pushes down. When we exhale, that pelvic floor should move up. And the best visualization that I have heard so far is you want those two sits bones that you're sitting on right now, you want to imagine them pulling together, and then you want to imagine your pubic bone and your tailbone pushing together this way. So you've got everything coming together and up. You're not squeezing it. It's not an active workout. You're visualizing this happen, and you should feel a natural slight movement in your pelvic floor. Okay? That's a natural breath. So before we even get to practicing this, we need to set ourselves up for success. And that way is part one, we need to make sure we're sitting on our sits bones. So if you push into your glutes right now, you've got a bone on either side that should be pushing back down on you. You want all of the weight of your body to be on those two sits bones. So you shouldn't be leaned back onto your tailbone or your glutes, and you shouldn't be pushed forwards more onto your hamstrings. You want all the weight on your sits bones. Step two is you want your ribs to be sitting directly over top of your hips. So oftentimes people will shimmy forwards to get onto their sits bones, and what that results in is your chest and your ribs sitting way in front of your hips. So instead, I want you to bring it back, make sure that everything's in line and you can feel the pressure and the push down onto your sits bones. If you don't, you can actually push your glutes out of the way so that there's more direct contact with your sits bones on the floor. That's phase one. Phase 2, I want you guys to feel this movement and the breathing pattern. So you're gonna take your thumbs and put them on the sides of your ribs here, and then you're gonna put your fingers around the front of your rib cage and your abdomen. So when you inhale, you should feel your ribs coming out, belly falls out, exhale, it falls in. So in a chest breath, as you can see, there's a lot of movement of my shoulders and my chest, not a ton of expansion happening down here. And in a natural breath, my chest comes up last, and you can see the movement in and out of my fingers. Okay? Your goal is to get 6 breaths per minute, okay? That means 10 seconds per breath. You want to practice this for a couple rounds. Give yourself 5 minutes. You need to set a really good base before we start tweaking it and changing it. So I really want you guys to practice this. Forget about the belly breathing and the diaphragmatic breathing. Your diaphragm moves no matter what, as I explained. We just want to make sure that we enhance how much that movement is happening and that we're not forcing things like our belly to be pushed out and adding excessive pressure that we don't need. So let me know how it goes. Practice this, and then in a couple days I'm going to give you guys a video on how we can tweak all these breath techniques for optimal health, and just like hacking some other cool wellness things that we can do.